With the Quest 3 mere months away, we're bound to start getting leaks on hardware and software, and that's exactly what's happened. Hey, what's up? I'm Matt, and welcome to BMF VR, the unofficial home for all things Quest. Today we're talking a recent leak based on the public test channel version 55 software update. I'll be totally honest with you, I'm extremely excited for this specific feature coming to Quest 3 because not only will it revolutionize mixed reality gaming, but it's also going to completely change how we set up Guardians, the consistency, and just how we play in the spaces we play virtual reality. Let me explain what I mean. The other day, Luna on Twitter shared these videos that were discovered in the public test channel by Samulia. These are early animations for the Quest 3's room scanning technology. Now, hold on a second before you run away. This is early previs rendering. This isn't like a final rendered version. It'll look a lot different when it actually shows you how to do it in the headset. This is just the early animation, so keep that in mind. That's why it looks so bad. What this is specifically showing is someone wearing a Quest 3 and walking around their room. And we learn a lot of things from this video, including the fact that this depth sensor is actually going to not just allow us to get 3D meshes of walls and of the floor, which is going to be amazing for Guardian because it's going to allow us to put the headset on and scan it with the depth sensor instead of having to use your controllers to actually set up a Guardian. Not only that, but if you look, this is actually scanning objects using that depth sensor, adding those objects to the Guardian and the space that you're creating for virtual reality or mixed reality. In this, it's showing scanning a couch. It shows the coffee table pop in because it scans that. You're seeing the TV it scans and the desk and a lamp. I mean, it's cool, but what does it mean, right? Well, this specifically means that not only are you hopefully going to have a much more consistent Guardian experience, which for me tends to be okay most of the time, but my Guardian disappears sometimes, it shifts. Guardians are kind of a pain, and they have been since the Quest 1. And when they work, and they stick around. But that doesn't always work that way. They've added in Smart Guardians recently where it shows you where there's objects in your space based on the height of the floor and where things are, but it doesn't actually tell you what's there or allow you to have like a surface that exists knowing that it's the specific height or this size or where it sits. This depth sensor, what it's going to do is actually allow it to scan these objects into VR, whether it's a couch or a lamp or a desk or a TV console, so that it knows what's there, its height, its depth, where exactly it is. Not only is it going to be helpful for your Guardian because you won't punch your TV or run into things, this is going to totally change the way we play mixed reality games. If you've ever played a mixed reality game on the Quest 1, even though it's got grainy mixed reality cameras, you'll know what I mean. This is going to totally change even how we play on the Quest Pro. Not only are the cameras on the outside of the Quest 3 much higher quality than the Quest Pro, and especially the Quest 2. It actually has two color pass-through cameras. This depth sensor, especially seeing these videos, we didn't really know how the depth sensor was going to work. This depth sensor allows you to actually create a room where you can play these mixed reality games. And Mark Zuckerberg recently put a video out that showed him playing some mixed reality stuff. You're seeing that on the screen right now. What this is going to allow to happen is actually going to have things like occlusion and interactivity with the environment. So say you have a couch and you are playing a mixed reality game. Well, this depth sensor, once it scans the couch in, it'll actually allow you to have an enemy hide behind the couch, or the occlusion from the couch keeping you from seeing the legs of the enemy when it's standing behind it instead of being on top of it in 3D space because it doesn't know the depth or what's there. Same with games that take place on the ground. Here you're seeing some tank footage that Mark Zuckerberg and Boz were playing in this video that he put out on his Instagram. Well, this is going to allow the floor to actually be known in 3D space, so when something sits on the floor, it actually stays there in 3D, and you can drive around on it with a tank, for instance, and interact with specific parts of your environment. Personally, mixed reality is something that I am extremely excited for. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I personally can't wait to actually start playing these mixed reality games, and I know of several games coming that have not been announced that are going to be absolutely awesome, and this depth sensor is going to make a massive difference for those. One of the problems with mixed reality on the Quest Pro and on the Quest 2 is the fact you have to manually set up everything. So you can set up where your desk is or where your couch is, which we've called couch tracking and desk tracking for a long time, and that's cool. But what if you didn't have to scan it in and it had an exact measurement for where it was without you having to do anything besides look at it? And that's what this depth sensor is going to do. It's going to allow you to walk around your couch and get a 3D representation of that couch or your desk or, like I said, a table, a lamp, and allow it to be there in 3D space so you don't have to manually set it up yourself. That's going to make mixed reality 1,000 times more accessible and way easier to use. Now, there are questions around this technology, how it's going to work, what it's going to do. How is it going to work when something gets changed in the environment, like you move your couch back or you add a new lamp? Like, is it going to rescan every single time, or are you going to have to rescan when you change things just so it knows what's there, or is it going to do it in real time? We don't know any of this as of yet. Hopefully it's more of a real-time situational thing where it scans the environment and it sees a difference and it rescans that section or something like that. I don't know how that's going to work. But mixed reality isn't the only thing this is going to help with. Guardian is going to be huge too, because instead of having to manually set up your floor space, you'll actually be able to look around and it'll scan your walls and your floor and your whole room so that you can play in room scale without having to walk in or hit something. So my assumption is like with the other Guardian that we have where you can walk up to a wall and it starts to show that, if you're playing a game and you want to play Thrill of the Fight, for instance, or another game that's maybe not full room scale, but you want to be able to move around and dodge bullets or projectiles. Well, if it scans in your environment using this depth sensor, in theory, you'd be able to actually walk around your room, even if you're walking around a living room with a whole bunch of furniture, and still move around, because you would know when you got close to something because it would pop in with the Guardian before you run into it. Now, I don't know how this is going to work for people and pets and kids that run in front of you while you're boxing so you don't punch them. Is it going to, in real time, scan them and show you that they're there, or is it just going to not know that they're there? Hard to say for that as well. Another thing we'll have to wait and see. This leak just makes me even more excited for the Quest 3 and the fact that it has a depth sensor and what that's going to mean, not just for mixed reality, like I said, but for Guardians in general. The ease of use and the speed of setting things up is going to be so much better. One of the most exciting parts for me about this depth sensor is the games that are going to utilize the mixed reality that the Quest 3 offers, including games that, like I mentioned, I can't necessarily talk about just yet, but that will be announced today if you go over to the Upload VR Gaming Showcase and check it out. That happens at 2 p.m. EST, so it's an hour from now. Specifically, a game that actually was recently announced with a quick tease. It was a game that Mark Zuckerberg showed in his teaser video, and that's for The Cabin. Apparently, we're actually getting an add-on mode for The Cabin, which is the drop-dead game, which is kind of like Call of Duty Zombies, but we're getting a mixed reality version of that game where the zombies are going to be coming into your room, which sounds fantastic, and it's something that I've wanted for a long time. And you can see some of these other teases inside of Zuckerberg's video. Specifically, I really want to play Broken Edge, this sword fighting game in mixed reality. The thing that makes me excited about that is the fact that it's like portals between realities. That's really what I want. Like, I want not to necessarily bring VR into the real world, but to bring the real world into VR. So you're walking through a portal in one side of your room and coming out in another spot. It's just weird stuff like that. Like this video here is another example of some really cool mixed reality stuff that was shared on Twitter. Overall, mixed reality has a lot of potential, and this depth sensor revolutionizes what it can do and how easy it can do it. Are you excited for mixed reality though? Or maybe you just are excited to have a consistent and easy setup Guardian. Although it's pretty easy to set up, unlike the Quest Pro and the Quest 2. It's been fairly simple, but again, it can shift, it can move. With this, I'm hoping that it makes it more consistent. So not only does, when you go from one room to the other, it remember the Guardian that you have, and it just quickly scans it, it also doesn't shift so you're punching your TV when the Guardian accidentally moves you a foot or two to the wrong side, which I've seen before. But let me know down below what you think of the depth sensor and this recent leak. I'm going to be continuing to bring you Quest 3 leaks as they happen, leading right up to the Quest 3 launch. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button to keep up to date on all things Quest and specifically Quest 3. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe and happy questing.